So let's see if we can build a while loop that will repeat over and over again an unknown number of times. But this time, instead of counting up to 5 or down to 3, we're going to prompt them to do it again. So I'm going to create a loop control variable called again. I'm going to set it equal to yes, and then I'm going to create a while loop that says while again is equal to lowercase y or again is equal to uppercase y. I'm going to print something in there, and then I'm going to change the condition. The way that I'm going to change the condition, instead of incrementing some numeric variable, I'm just going to prompt them and overwrite the value of again that was set in line 7. Let me separate that just a little bit. Again, line 7, set the variable again equal to a lowercase y. Line 14 is going to prompt them, do you want to do it again? And I'm going to give them an example of what I am looking for, a lowercase y or n. I'm going to compare it to a lowercase y or an uppercase y, just in case their caps lock was stuck on. Let's run it and see what happens. Do you want to do this again? Notice in my output over here, it prints this is fun. Do you want to do it again? As long as I continue to put in an uppercase, or let's try an uppercase or a lowercase y, it will let me, or it will do it again. As soon as I type anything else, it will drop out. So the change of condition doesn't have to be a number, it doesn't have to be a number that we increment or decrement inside of the while loop. So let's do this again. I'm going to force a new line, a couple new lines on line 16. We'll do it again. I'm going to see if I can count up the total number of pages that a person has read in a book. But I have no idea how many books they have read. So I'm going to create an accumulator, total pages, and I am going to create my loop control variable called another book. I'm going to ask them how many pages of the books they have read, and then the change of condition is going to be a prompt for another book. Now, if you'll notice, the initial value of book is the word YES. So the condition is going to be while another book is equal to lowercase YES, because that's what I initialized it to on line 22. So I'm going to prompt them for the number of pages in the book they're reading. I'm going to cast that to an integer value, and I'm going to store it in a variable called pages. Then I'll add the accumulator so that I can add pages into my total pages accumulator from line 21. And finally, we need to change the condition. We're going to do that by prompting them if there is another book. I'm going to give them an example of what kind of input I'm looking for, a lowercase yes or a lowercase no. I'm going to overwrite the value in another book, and that is the variable that I'm using for my condition on the while loop. And then finally, once we're out of the while loop, flush to the left, I am going to print the total number of pages that they read. So my first loop on line 9 will stop running as soon as I key in anything that is not a lowercase y. And then it's going to ask me the number of the pages in the book. And we're going to accumulate it. 10, 20. All right, let me try this again because I forgot that the second question is yes or no. So the number of pages in the book, I'm going to say that there are 10 pages in the book. Is there another book? If I type in a lowercase yes, the condition on line 24 will ask me the question again. So I'm going to say there's 20 pages, yes. And then I'll say there's 30 pages. So that should be a total of 60 pages. If I then say anything but yes, which is the condition on line 24, it should end the while loop and print the total number of pages read. Let's try this again, see if we can calculate the average number of miles walked. I'm going to have a counter variable, which will be my variable called days. I'm going to have an accumulator. My loop control variable is called another day. I'm going to initialize that to a value that is going to allow me to get into the while loop. While another day is equal to yes, I'm going to prompt them for how many days did you walk, and I'll say on day 1. And then I'm going to accumulate the total miles, and then I'm going to increment my counter. Once I have done those three things, I'm going to change the condition, and the change of the condition is going to be the prompt for another day. I'm going to overwrite the loop control variable called another day with a condition equal to yes, or excuse me, a lowercase y. So I'm going to show the user an example of the input that I am looking for. I'm going to run it to see if it's working. So this one requires the letter Y. This one would require the word yes. So if I type in anything but the word yes, and here we go. How many days did you walk on day 1? So if I put 10, did you walk another day? Yes. And then I say 20, yes, and then say 30, and then we'll get out of my while loop. So my while loop is looking, so how about if we add the average miles, and then we'll print the average miles walked. All right, so he's run it. I'm going to say no, and then I have to key in anything but the word yes. How many miles did you walk? We'll go 10, yes, 20, yes, 30, and then if I say no, that was 60 pages over 3 days. That should give me an average of 20 pages. Oh, wait a minute. These are pages. These miles walked, 20 miles walked on average.